I can see the safety car coming into the background. There's one light, two lights, three lights, four lights, five lights, and it's go, go, go! And straight into the... Lift me up, 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 lift me up.
Nighttime in the desert in Bahrain. It's round 2 of the Formula 1 World Championship in Sakir, and it promises to be a Formula 1 season which is setting ourselves up for some of the most dramatic and brilliant racing that we have seen. The Sakir circuit here is 15 corners and 3.3 miles of desert racing in the dark, which has proven to be a real dark horse of the Formula 1 calendar, especially with the new DRS zone brought in between turns 12 and 13. This is a race which promises to deliver a lot, and it's a race track itself which was known for being a real sleeper and a favourite from the drivers, as we watch a hot lap being driven by Schumacher.
So then, we join Michael Schumacher on the track preview of Bahrain in the Ravenwest BB01 chassis, which team principal Chris Whiteman lent to him for this particular event. So a good lap round here is just over 90 seconds, 210 miles an hour going down the start-finish straight, going into turn 1. You brake late, you think you're not going to stop. You have to compromise the exit to give yourself a good line going into turn 2. And straight through 3, it feels more or less a non-corner. Heading up to 4, a little bit of brake balance adjustment. You have to hit this perfectly. There's a lot of space on the exits going into the complex of 5, 6 and 7, where you can take a little bit of curb on each, but not too much though, as it'll unsettle the car. Going into turn 8, an armful of lock as we head into the sweeping downhill left of turn 9. It's easy to lock the left hand front going into turn 10 here, as Michael absolutely nails that one as we head down the back straight. We head towards turn 11, a little adjustment of the brakes heading up to north of 200 miles an hour. As we go into it, sweep in early and fast, let the car run wide onto the curbs as the downforce keeps us planted going through turn 12. Still full throttle as we brake heavily for turn 13. The exit here is crucial as it's a long straight before turns 14 and 15. You pick up a lot of speed down here, again heading towards 200 miles an hour. Brake at the 100-yard line as we nail the inside corner. 14 and 15 more or less feel the same as you slingshot down the start-finish straight at a high speed, nearly 200 miles an hour as you cross the start-finish line. And that is a lap of the Sakir Grand Prix circuit.
And that will be all these drivers will be hoping to emulate this evening. And this is the challenge which is set for them on a circuit with an additional DRS zone. Can anybody go ahead and stop the Mercedes lock-out? Well, the Drivers' Championship set by Mick Schumacher, who was the winner in the last race with 25 points. He is certainly going to be the man to beat today. Last year, on the other hand, well, alongside me today, it is the man that knows it all so well and talk us through what you saw last year.
Well, it was just an incredible race, wasn't it? It had all sorts of drama. A first corner collision, you had a vintage Kimi Räikkönen, the Mercedes fighting one another, and an inspired Ravenwest drive from Hector Gonzalez managing to haul that car into second place, and Carlos Sainz having an absolute strategic masterstroke somehow ended up winning the race. It was a race to remember, and if we can have anything close to that this year, it will be quite spectacular.
Spanish magic in the desert for Carlos Sainz. And here, Bahrain, does he have the opportunity in the McLaren to repeat his brilliance? Well, so far it's the same as last time. Valtteri Bottas putting in a 1:27.1 to beat Lewis Hamilton by 1/10 of a second. Nico Hülkenberg is third in the Ravenwest, and Max Verstappen is in fourth on the second row. So Vettel and Charles Leclerc lock out the third row for Ferrari. Fourth row, Mick Schumacher is ahead of Lance Stroll. Daniel Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly are on the fifth row. Sixth, is Romain Grosjean and George Russell. Carlos Sainz will have to win this from the 7th row to repeat last time. Daniel Kvyat and Esteban Ocon are on the 8th. 9th, Mitsubishi Matsushita and Lance Norris come in. And on the 10th and final row, Alex Albon and Sergio Perez. Head of the 11th row, that's Zhou and Nicholas Latifi in the Williams. Cars are going to line themselves up on the grid quite perfectly. There is Bottas settling in. There is Lewis Hamilton. And the one thing you have with the desert is the heat. The heat is very much a factor that these drivers will have to be prepared for. There is a risk of your car potentially overheating before this final moment as the Ravenwest stands ready. And there you see on the on row 7 is both McLarens. They're standing ready, as is everybody else, and now we shall wait patiently for the race director to go for the lights. 2nd lights, 3rd, 4th, 5 lights. We're waiting, and we're racing at long last here in Bahrain. Start by Bottas, a brilliant start by Nico Hülkenberg, who was able to get past Lewis Hamilton straight away, and that's a fantastic start. And Hamilton, does he look to come back? It looks to be there's a real mid-table collision. Look at Hülkenberg, how wide was that? But Hülkenberg has gone through into second base, and Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes has shot past again, and also is Sebastian Vettel also gets past Hülkenberg, and they're going side by side as they make their way through the turn, and Vettel is battling through, and Max Verstappen is down into 5th place. There goes Hülkenberg trying to make a move yet again, and Vettel blocking away. Bottas leads, Hamilton 2nd. Sebastian Vettel here has got himself through into 3rd place, and it's Nico Hülkenberg battling him back. But what an outstanding start that was by Hülkenberg. Got himself up to 2nd, now back down to 4th. Perhaps the big winner of that is Sebastian Vettel. He started 4th and he's got through, and now this is a chance for Hülkenberg making his move, trying to fight it around the inside. Is there an opportunity to slingshot? Goes wide again in the Ravenwest, and suddenly Max Verstappen finds himself in the chance. Oh! Spin by Hülkenberg! And Nico Hülkenberg, oh, would you believe this? He's going to wait for everybody to come through, and the Ravenwest in last place.
It's going to send him all the way to the back. That's a lot of hard work he's got ahead of him now to get back into this race.
Well, it's the first lap completed. My heavens, what a big lap that was. And I wonder if Nico Hülkenberg, whether he was touched or whether there was the possibility that he just sort of lost it on a bit of power there, as we're watching Lance Stroll go ahead and outbrake Charles Leclerc into turn 1. And there goes the racing point. There you can hear the beautiful, I have to say I have missed the sound as well, but these wonderful vehicles make at the moment. And there is Mick Schumacher, and Mick Schumacher's made a move, and Schumacher has passed Leclerc, and he is into he wasn't in 6th place. Leclerc has come back and just squeezes him through, and so far some of the racing has been fast and furious and frantic and frenetic.
Oh, neither driver yielding in this position, are they? Leclerc's not giving an inch, and neither's Mick. And look out for Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh my word, this is magnificent. Look at Ricciardo, who's come through, and Daniel Ricciardo now suddenly from nowhere shot through into 6th place. And the Ravenwest here in Mick Schumacher seems to be struggling at the moment. He's got Romain Grosjean battling, now is trying to make the move past Leclerc, and at the same time also coming through is, wow, this is just absolutely magnificent. Grosjean again making a move in the Red Bull, but what a drive, and look at how close all these cars are. This is magnificent. They're 3 abreast at 210 mile an hour, breaking into turn 1, and there goes a big braking opportunity, just sneaking through. Was there contact? I don't think there was. Verstappen's been called back. Charles Leclerc at the moment has been passed by Carlos Sainz, who's gone from 13th to 7th in an outstanding bit of driving in the McLaren. And last year's race winner is producing an absolute blinder at the moment.
Well, the drivers have done extremely well to avoid contact with one another, but you had about 7 cars fighting over what is 8th, 7th place there down the straight. This is incredible. There's Nico Hülkenberg making his way back through traffic. He's caught up to the back of the pack, look. He's going to have the advantage of those softer tyres. Everyone else is on mediums around him by the looks of things, so he's going to have more grip. But that Bugatti engine is certainly being stretched, I'm sure. Here he goes down this back straight, using all of the DRS.
The power of the Bugatti engine is coming through again, and Nico Hülkenberg has done so well to get up into 17th place. Nico Hülkenberg with a lovely bit of drivermanship, but also at the same time knowing that he's got the power and able to get himself past the Haas and the Williamses and go through. But it'll be a tall order for Hülkenberg, who really has to fight his way through the entire order. This is Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, and Charles Leclerc has got DRS on Carlos Sainz. At the same time, Mick Schumacher has got DRS at the moment on Carlos Sainz. But Sainz looks like he's just been able to close the door. No, Mick Schumacher has poked through. Sainz again has got the better line as they come out of turn 3, and Sainz has hold of Mick Schumacher again. Also Romain Grosjean in the Red Bull, also involved in the conversation. George Russell in the McLaren at the moment is up into 10th place and into the points, and this is all proving to be a quite blistering start to this Grand Prix. The midfield battles racing away, puff of smoke. I think that was probably from Grosjean, and you can see that because as a result of him locking up, I think it was the front left. I know you said that in the race warm-up, that could be the case, and it looks to be damage, I think, to Mick Schumacher's car. Looks to be damage onto the side pod of that Ravenwest.
Well, it doesn't seem to be bothering him as he's fighting away with the 2 McLarens. George Russell's had an absolute blinder and has just appeared out of nowhere as well. This is fantastic racing from the youngsters. Look at this, Mick Schumacher on the inside holding his line. Sainz not yielding either. This is going to be one heck of a drag race down the back straight in the new DRS zone. You've got 4 cars within a second of one another heading towards the final corner, 3 abreast. Brave driving from everyone involved, and they've managed to get through cleanly, and Mick's got so much more traction on those soft tyres to get clear of them. But look at this train of cars coming down the start-finish straight. Look at this, there's 7 of them. You've got AlphaTauris, Red Bulls. There's Hülkenberg at the back down the inside from out of nowhere in 17th place, has just lunged it up there. Incredible racing from everyone. This is just biblical in terms of the amount of skill, bravery, and to avoid collisions. This is fantastic.
This is the best bit of motor racing I have seen in covering motor racing for over 30 years. Outstanding performance, and incredible to think Nico Hülkenberg at the moment battling Giovinazzi here, and looks like he's been able to get past him, but this is the main battle that we are watching at the moment. Romain Grosjean and George Russell. George Russell is past, and now suddenly Hülkenberg sees George Russell behind him. Oh, that was contact. I think there was damage. Giovinazzi's front wing might be gone, and no, it looks like his front wheel. He's out. Oh, Giovinazzi is out. And has there any damage happened to Hülkenberg in the Ravenwest?
Well, it looked like there was contact. I think Giovinazzi stuck his nose where he wasn't supposed to be, although Hülkenberg looks completely unaffected as he's scything his way through. Look at this, absolutely made mincemeat of the AlphaTauri, and now he's going to use that grunt of the Bugatti engine down the back straight. Has that McLaren got anything to defend against? No, look at this, late on the brakes, Sainz locks up, and look at that, Hülkenberg goes flying through. Great traction out the corner. Look out for the AlphaTauri though of Daniel Kvyat, who's got a great run out of the last corner. You can see him in the wing mirror there, very close. How is everyone's pulse at the moment? It's only lap 6 and it's just been incredible from start to finish. And more importantly, the next man up for Nico Hülkenberg, his teammate Mick Schumacher. Will there be any team orders? We shall see.
In 2 corners, Hülkenberg went through Carlos Sainz and Daniel Kvyat like a hot knife through butter, and now he is motoring up and he's only got his teammate ahead of him. and after spinning out and challenging, Nico Hulkenberg at the moment is producing some of the best driving of his life. It has been outstanding and just forced wide against Mick Schumacher. The two Ravenwests now are going nose to nose, if you will, and we're only on lap 6 of 29 of what has been a pulsating Grand Prix. Right behind Hulkenberg in the 27th. He's got Schumacher ahead of him. This is the battle for 8th place. They're down into the new DRS zone, braking late, and with that and with ease and with all the opportunities, Hulkenberg has got himself up to 8th. So from 22nd to 8th after spinning in the first lap, he's got himself up there in 5 laps. This is quite incredible racing that we have seen at the moment from Hulkenberg. And now he's got to defend Mick Schumacher, who will have DRS. And how does he do so? Well, he does so by just holding his line and holding his nerve. I wonder if that slight damage that Schumacher does have is going to slow him ever so slightly. This is Schumacher who is going to make his opportunity. This is the back straight. That's the pit lane that you're seeing. And Schumacher has passed Hulkenberg. It's a question, who is braver onto the brakes as we go in? And Hulkenberg has just gone wide. And now is it the opportunity for Schumacher to come back? No, this is magnificent. And now is the chance of the world for Hulkenberg. And can he go ahead and look to go and catch Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari at 7th place? A reminder that at the moment Valtteri Bottas still leads. Lewis Hamilton is 2nd. Sebastian Vettel is 3rd. Max Verstappen is 4th. Lance Stroll is 5th. Daniel Ricciardo is 6th. The reason you haven't been seeing them at the moment is the racing that's been taking lower down the order has been quite magnificent. But here is the race leader, Valtteri Bottas. And if I can give him any credit, we've not noticed he's been leading because of how calmly and precisely he's driven after claiming pole.
He's had nothing really to worry about all day so far. Both him and Hamilton have both just kind of left everyone behind. Vettel's not had a bad drive behind either, but for Mercedes, this is a perfectly executed plan going well so far.
Lewis Hamilton will be hoping to make it an amazing 8th. That'll be his challenge to do so after he was the winner of last year's World Championship in dramatic fashion. But he's at the moment just under a second behind Valtteri Bottas. He's also got Max Verstappen breathing down his gearbox, and into the pits comes Daniel Ricciardo, and there's a change of tyre.
Yeah, onto the next compounder, just about missing Mick Schumacher as well. That was a borderline unsafe release from Renault there. It's Ravenwest bringing Mick in first, ahead of Hulkenberg going onto the medium, so this is going to be the long stint for them. So we're looking at the Jaguar Williams of Sergio Perez going flying past there. Be interesting to see when Mercedes call in their drivers, and more importantly, who are they going to call in first? Will it be the race leader? Does he get to call the strategy? Or will it be the 7-time world champion who gets the option of choosing who pits first?
I'm sure Lewis Hamilton will definitely be saying that as world champion, but on race performance at the moment, Valtteri Bottas is in first place and will get priority. And we're watching the McLaren of George Russell, and he is at the moment chasing with Romain Grosjean in the Red Bull ahead of Carlos Sainz. And Esteban Ocon in 11th place is also involved. And now they're being all held up by Daniel Kvyat in 7th place. And these were all the cars that was side through and overtaking at the moment by Nico Hulkenberg. A reminder here that into the pits has been Daniel Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc, and Mike Schumacher. And well, this is George Russell at the moment. And what young talent this man is.
Well, he's very much considered the heir to this man's throne as Lewis Hamilton gets the pits first, as does Verstappen and Vettel. It looked like Vettel may have just held up Hamilton in that pit stop there. It's a very, very interesting strategic call there from Mercedes, favouring Hamilton as the battle of the midfield continues down the back straight. Sainz goes left and right up against Daniel Kvyat, goes to the outside. Kvyat defends the line really well and holds the position. Excellent driving from Daniel Kvyat.
Wonderful convert, but important to note here though that Max Verstappen has got out ahead of Sebastian Vettel in that last pit battle. So Sebastian Vettel is in 12th, Max Verstappen is in 11th. So great pit work by Christian Horner and the Red Bull pit crew. They've got themselves a position through. So you think when everyone else starts to come through in pits, Bottas will be back out in the lead, Hamilton will be second, and Max Verstappen will be third. Nico Hülkenberg at the moment has got himself up into third place. He has yet to stop at the moment, so Nico Hülkenberg will know, but Valtteri Bottas also leads. He's got to hope he's got enough of a gap ahead, and this midfield battle at the moment is proving to be completely and utterly brilliantly epic at the moment, and the challenge coming in is to get past Kvyat and Carlos Sainz. His dad was a world champion in rally, a magnificent driver, particularly driving the Ford Escort Cosworth back in the day. Quite brilliant, and into the pits at the moment. Who is that coming into pits? It's Lance Stroll, and in comes the Ravenwest and Hülkenberg, and Valtteri Bottas is also into the pits. So we're a third away into the Sakir Grand Prix at the moment. Change of compound being made, and Stroll is out. Bottas is looking to get out also. Has Bottas done enough to get ahead of Lewis Hamilton? Just, oh, what was that? That was a huge collision.
Oh, it's a big crash into turn one. I think the safety car is going to be out for that one. I think Carlos Sainz involved. Look at this, it's a 4-car pile-up in the first corner. That's got to be a safety car, surely. I don't know what happened.
Oh my
Yellow
word.
flags are out for definite. There's a Red Bull involved there.
It's Verstappen!
I think four cars. Was it Verstappen?
It's Verstappen.
Verstappen's down there.
Verstappen.
Carlos Sainz.
Carlos Sainz.
Carlos
Oh.
Sainz is at the bottom as well.
Max Verstappen looks like he might be out. What's Carlos Sainz saying?
I cannot believe it. No, this is unfair. I'm sorry guys, but this is unfair.
Well, let's have a look.
Well, what
Romain
happened here?
Grosjean dive bombing into turn one. Oh, he's caught the rear. Grosjean, that's clumsy from Grosjean. Catching Carlos Sainz. Let's have a look from Hamilton's perspective. Goodness me, and he just about darts through the middle there. He managed to avoid that accident. I don't think Bottas... Where was Bottas in that? If Bottas is down in 15th, Hamilton has jumped him, and Bottas has been caught up in that accident. Green flags are out, racing continues, and here's Hülkenberg fighting the two Renaults and a Haas. That turn one incident has just changed the complexion of this Grand Prix completely.
Well, Max Verstappen, and that is disastrous for him, getting caught. And one of the Renaults there wobbling about. That's Daniel Ricciardo. He's recovered. He's kept going, but all in that, the big winner from that disaster was Lewis Hamilton, and he's got Romain Grosjean and Daniel Kvyat ahead of him, who have yet to pit. So Lewis Hamilton is in a great position, and at the moment there is Valtteri Bottas getting his way past Alex Albon, and now is a chance for Bottas, and I'd love to see and find out what went wrong there, because Bottas suddenly comfortably in charge, out, and it's all gone wrong. Whether this was a case of maybe he'd come out and got the pit strategy wrong, but it's been disastrous for Bottas, who's really struggling, and he's been caught up in the midfield battle now.
It's not where you want to be in this midfield battle. Everyone is fighting all over the place. Bottas down in 13th. It is not where he wanted to be. Big mention though, there's two Alfa Romeos and the two Williams Jaguars in the points at present, and they've pitted. So incredibly, race position, the Williams and the Alfa Romeos are up in the top 10. Incredible scenes.
What that would be for the Jaguar Williams team. Based in Didcot in Oxfordshire, they must be hoping that perhaps they can hang on to crucial World Championship points. And here is a man that knows all about crucial World Championship points. Round the outside there is Hülkenberg, is round Stroll. He's also looking to make a move past Latifi. And there is Sergio Perez ahead of him. And easy work for Hülkenberg, who is flying. And just ahead of him is Lando Norris, who's also in the Alfa Romeo. So could this be the opportunity for Hulkenberg. He brakes late, just goes through, but just has enough to hold through. And now Hulkenberg, who is flying today, does he have his eye on a thrilling finale at the Sakir Grand Prix? There goes Hulkenberg up into 5th place. Ahead of him, Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Kvyat, Lewis Hamilton and Romain Grosjean. And this race, after a frenetic few laps, really is at the moment getting ourselves set for what could be a classic finale.
Bugatti engine was propelling Hulkenberg past these what would normally be considered back markers, but for position it just looked like two different classes of race car almost. But right now, look at this, Romain Grosjean fighting Lewis Hamilton for the lead. It's not something he would have been saying last year.
And Grosjean having to defend at the moment. Lewis Hamilton is eyeing up his gearbox, and if anybody knows about taking and controlling a race and going on to lead it, it is Lewis Hamilton. Made his debut in the 2007 season and has continued to absolutely fly, and his performances have been outstanding. And I know we talked about the way Hulkenberg and that Bugatti engine was driving earlier on. I recently spoke to the team principal as Lewis Hamilton looks to try and make a move. Is he going to go squeeze his way through? Defending for his life is Romain Grosjean at the moment. Round the outside is Lewis Hamilton, and with that, Lewis Hamilton has come through and leads the Bahrain Grand Prix. Astonishing move by Lewis Hamilton, and he drives on fantastically. What a magnificent camera angle we're watching. And now can Lewis Hamilton really put the hammer down and put in some distance ahead as we're watching the two Alfa Romeos here. And that's Lando Norris up into 6th place. And here is a battle at the moment for George Russell, who's got to brake and hope here that he can find his way through in the Williams Jaguar. And it's not to be. So this has been quite fantastic. Lewis Hamilton leads the Bahrain Grand Prix. Romain Grosjean is 2nd. Sebastian Vettel is 3rd. He's got past Daniel Kvyat, who's now in 4th. Nico Hulkenberg is still 5th at the moment. Max Verstappen, who I thought was out, is back. And there he goes, making a move past Bottas. And he's got Ocon, Latifi, Ricciardo and Perez all ahead in that battle for the midfield to get into the points. Points mean prizes.
Well, for Williams Jaguar, that engine is still a little underdeveloped, and Perez is very much fighting a losing battle here, as is Latifi, under fire from Ocon. And look at the straight line speed difference. It's just not quite up to snuff as that Jaguar engine, but it's only their 2nd race. They'll learn from it, I'm sure, but you'll definitely be wanting more power from that Jaguar power unit. As for Verstappen, well, he's recovered well from that crash, and look at, I think he's just going to blitz past him, isn't he? DRS open, as will Valtteri Bottas, no doubt. There's not much that Latifi can do in this position, but just try and keep out of the way. Although Verstappen locks up, just about keeps it together. Won't do his tyres any good. But Latifi not doing a bad job, and there's more people in the pits. So back up into the points as Bottas goes flying past. Look at the power difference down the straight. Mick Schumacher's at the back there as well of this group, so it's certainly a great overtaking exhibition, this race.
It has been a fast and furious and fantastic race thus far, and it is great to see at the moment that we're watching the Williams Jaguars as they look to get involved and try to win championship points, as we know we'd love to see them challenge him before. And there goes a move on Mick Schumacher getting past the Latifi, and he has now gone ahead and put the Williams Jaguar out of it. And I spoke recently to Chris Whiteman, the team principal here of the Ravenwest, and I asked him what's going to be your secret weapon. Many of us expecting, of course, you know, that they've got that Bugatti engine and the first answer that can bring, but as he just winked at me and he just said the cult of personality will get us through this race. And you can see, because the sheer willpower of both their drivers, Mick Schumacher in 10th and Nico Hulkenberg, who I remind you was in last place at the beginning of the 2nd lap. Here he is in 3rd place. He's got Sebastian Vettel to catch, and then he's got Lewis Hamilton. And we're halfway distance of a race that has just been mind-blowingly fantastic.
been, as I said, an overtaking exhibition. Take your bets on who's going to score points out of the midfield teams. I'd really want to know, because right now anyone from 5th downwards could score points. It's been that close. The extra DRS zone at Bahrain, along with the aerodynamic rule changes, has really worked wonders at a circuit like Sakir. We saw in the past that it was an entertaining circuit last year with Carlos Sainz winning, and this year has been no exception.
Well, how fortunes have reversed. Carlos Sainz at the moment in 21st place on the grid, and it doesn't look like Carlos Sainz will be competing the heroics of last year. As will his teammates George Russell. I can tell you he's running in 13th place at the moment. The battle that we're watching at the moment is for 4th place. There is Lance Stroll. Daniel Ricciardo is behind. There is Max Verstappen in 6th and Valtteri Bottas in 7th, who I remind you has set the fastest lap. So Valtteri Bottas at the moment does have the fastest lap point available to him. And it will remain to see. But as these cars start to sort of burn more fuel, you wonder if one of the drivers may be thinking it, but at the moment they're just settling into the race on the lead. But behind that, beyond Nico Hülkenberg, who I can look at his time, is on an absolute charge. He's just gone purple at the moment in Sector 2. This is where the battle is, and it's been the midfielder driving here that's seen these drivers really go for it. And this DRS is making a huge difference. 210 mile an hour. Now is the opportunity for Ricciardo, and he looks to try and get past, and that's great work by Stroll, who's done fantastically well and to get through. And Ricciardo now has also got to be mindful, because as he goes and catches Stroll, it's difficult, because when you're catching a driver, you can make a mistake, and in 3 or 4 laps you can get right back again. But when you're catching somebody and you're being chased at the same time, make a mistake, you could lose 2 or 3 spaces. As at the moment, Mick Schumacher is go ahead and has got his, well, that's not Mick Schumacher, I might tell you a lie, that's a chance there for Hülkenberg. Looks to be lapping one of the Williams Jaguars, and is flying around this circuit. I mean, so many cars overtaking one another, it's hard to keep up. But don't worry, the highly professional team here on the Virtual Sport Network, we're going to do our best to do what we can.
Well, it's been very much a breathtaking race so far. It's interesting to see the different tyre strategies as well. You've got people on hard compounds, you've got softs and mediums out there. As here comes Lewis Hamilton into the pits again. Second stop, off those soft tyres and onto the mediums. Well, looks at things. Will he be held up by Vettel? Has he got to wait? He's had to wait. He's going to lose time. That could play into Hülkenberg's hands, who has gone into first place. And bearing in mind, that man was dead last on the second lap.
What an amazing drive from Nico Hülkenberg. Absolutely astonishing. There he goes all the way through, and I think that's Max Verstappen, who's also come into the pits for the Red Bull. Well, what a brilliant performance. And Hamilton, I think, and that's Bottas trying to make a move. The 2 teammates going. And, oh, would you believe this? Bottas is through, and Hamilton is through into 5th place. So that's Mercedes, when it looked like Hamilton was in control, it hasn't been the case. He's come into pit, and Hülkenberg now is in absolute control, flying. Daniel Ricciardo is 2nd, Lance Stroll is 3rd, Valtteri Bottas has gone into 4th. It just shows you this season in Formula 1, just in which they goes, even if you're last, there's every opportunity. Second lap in, Hülkenberg was in 22nd position. Lap 17, over halfway distance. He's in the lead of the Sakir Grand Prix. Now for Lewis Hamilton, what's gone wrong there?
Well, I think he's made his last stop, because he's gone on to the mediums as we're watching the 2 Ferraris battle as well. It's the battle of teammates right now. Vettel looking to go around the outside of Leclerc. Don't hit each other. Keep it clean, boys. Last thing you want is a bit of inter-team fighting. They're keeping it clean, but they're keeping it side by side. Look at this. Vettel will not yield to Charles Leclerc. Side by side down the straight. Same equipment. Mick Schumacher's hiding in the background there. He's got DRS open. If the Ferraris aren't careful, he's going to sneak up on them. Vettel braking late into the final corner. Good exit. Bottas into the pits now. Look, so that Lewis has got the advantage. But look at this. Mick Schumacher going past both Ferraris down the finish straight. Fantastic from Mick Schumacher as he blitzes past the Ferraris. But Leclerc having a sneaky look. But what a drive there. Mick Schumacher using that Bugatti grunt to get past the Ferraris. Oh, what a move.
Oh, Bugatti versus Ferrari, and Schumacher brilliantly there gets himself all the way from 7th to 5th in an outstanding show of driving power. This is Mick Schumacher who we're on board with. Absolutely brilliant performance by him. Bottas has come out in 12th place after his pit stop, so Lewis Hamilton is 4th. He's got a charging Mick Schumacher behind him. Nico Hülkenberg leads at the moment. Here is the other Renault, which is at the moment, this is Ricciardo actually, I'll tell you a lie, that's Lance Stroll sitting right behind him. This at the moment has been the man that everyone's been looking to see. It has been an outstanding drive at the moment from Hülkenberg, who made that mistake, and well, we talked about whether it was going to be a chance for Hülkenberg to go ahead and get his first win in Formula 1. I wonder if this is the occasion in which he goes ahead and eclipses that. But now this is Lewis Hamilton, who really does have to try and produce something. He's got Lance Stroll and Daniel Ricciardo ahead, and Lewis Hamilton certainly has the skill. Both men here, Stroll and Hamilton, have DRS on Ricciardo, and you can see the sparks flying up at the belly of the car due to the speed that they're in and bouncing up and down. Absolutely magnificent. And into the pits, I think, is Ricciardo. So Ricciardo has come into the pits. And Lewis Hamilton, but well, I tell you what, this is saving Lance Stroll. Having that DRS has allowed him to just stay ahead of Lewis Hamilton, but Lewis will know if he bides his time. There should be another opportunity to pass. The question is, will there be another opportunity for him to catch Nico Hülkenberg? Sebastian Vettel, he's also involved in this battle. He's got himself all the way up into 4th place. Great drive at the moment by Vettel. We saw that wonderful racing against his teammate Charles Leclerc, who's now down in 10th place. I suspect that's a pit stop as opposed to an accident. And Lewis Hamilton really is doing everything he can do to try and get past Lance Stroll, and I suspect he's got to make sure that he stays right behind him, right on the gearbox. Just keep it cool, calm, collected, don't lock up, stay, hit the line. And now they got a DRS opportunity, and is this going to be enough for Lewis Hamilton to find enough power to find his way through? It isn't, but it's allowed Lewis to maintain the gap that he's got. We're on board with Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes engine now, and now they're going to wind their way through the long right-hander, let the car drift wide into the as they go into the exit point, now into the apex. Now this is the key moment. This is the opportunity as they're through, and let's go watch at the moment Lance Stroll. This is what he's watching, and he's not seeing a Mercedes anywhere near him as such, but you can see in the background Sebastian Vettel. Is there going to be an opportunity for Lewis Hamilton? Easily down the back straight. Lewis Hamilton's through into 2nd place ahead of Lance Stroll. And now can Lewis Hamilton get himself over a second ahead, deny the DRS points to open up, and then start motoring on to charge down Nico Hülkenberg. 9 laps left of this Grand Prix. Here is the race leader. This has been the man that has put in one of the finest driving performances I have ever seen. It has been magnificent today, and Hülkenberg, well, everybody here in the Formula 1 paddock, he's a very popular guy, and could this be the day in his opportunity in which he goes all in and comes away with the championship and his opportunity to challenge in that Bugatti?
Well, he's been looking for a podium this whole time. He's staring at a victory in his face now. It's all his to have. I think we're looking at Charles Leclerc. He's looking at the back of the other Ravenwest of Mick Schumacher. These two have been battling all day in that battle-ridden. I mean, look at it. It's got scrapes all over the side of it. Mick Schumacher has been in amongst it all day today, and he'll be wanting to score more than just 1 point. He's been fighting all evening, and he won't be wanting to give up that final points position, that's for sure. He'll be wanting to gain on Ricciardo, if anything. But fantastic drive from both Ravenwest so far. And look at the size of the gap. He's miles ahead. Hamilton's only just coming onto the straight as he's leaving it.
Yes, the advantage now is approaching nearly
lap.
15 seconds, but Nico Hulkenberg, watch out. Lewis Hamilton is making a charge and he's making his moments. And if anybody knows about charging late in the race, it's Lewis Hamilton. And one thing you to appreciate here, especially if you're watching, is from these drivers just how physically fit and healthy they have to be, just how mentally and physically tough they've got to be, and they do that through their physical health. And nobody trains harder and more extensively than Lewis Hamilton. And there's that physical fitness that allows their mental sharpness to remain, and that's where Lewis Hamilton's raw talent shines out. Of course, that was all brought to the forefront by the days of Michael Schumacher, who just showed everybody how if you can remain physically fit, how you can essentially do 50 qualifying laps in a row. And sometimes that's what you've got to do to win at the absolute highest level. And here today, Nico Hulkenberg has a big advantage, but at the moment, can Lewis Hamilton pull out 2 seconds a lap to try and catch him? And that's going to be what's required, as we're watching Sebastian Vettel at the moment. And you've got Daniel Kvyat ahead of him and Valtteri Bottas behind. And, well, how would you think the Red Bull of Verstappen has done today? At the moment, he's being outraced by Romain Grosjean, who's up in 5th, and into the pits at the moment comes Hulkenberg. So this is going to be key in the race at the moment. Has Hulkenberg got enough time ahead of him to come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton? A change in the compound of tyres. Hamilton's got past. Hamilton is through, and Hulkenberg has now got to chase. And also, so has Sebastian Vettel, so has Lance Stroll. And what advantage has that done? Is that an early pit stop to allow him to go move away? This strategy is amazing at the moment.
Well, they've gone for the soft tyres with the last 7 laps to go, so this is probably a bold manoeuvre, but I suppose Ravenwest will be thinking everyone else's tyres will be old and dropping off, whereas he's going to be on fresh softs for the last 7 laps. And also, Lewis Hamilton's currently got the fastest lap and that extra point, so they might be thinking, get the fastest lap if you can and save your way through all the people with old tyres. It's a bold strategy from Ravenwest. Let's see if it pays off. But look at that, he's already, look at the gap. The gap is shrinking, you can see it. He's just pulling. Look at the power of that Bugatti engine is just closing down that racing point effortlessly. Look at it, he's right there.
And we saw Nico Hulkenberg go in 6 laps from last to first, and now he's got himself an opportunity to really go for it. He's past Lance Stroll. It's nice and easy for that Bugatti that has the power on the racing point. He's got Sebastian Vettel ahead of him in the Ferrari, so it's more Italian horsepower battling one another. Another DRS zone. It's the start-finish straight. We're now on lap 23 of 29 to go in the Sakir Grand Prix, and just having a little look was Hulkenberg. Did he fancy a chance? Well, he does fancy it, maybe through turn 2, and shutting the door with Sebastian Vettel, 4-time world champion, and Lance Stroll now is able to get past Nico Hulkenberg, and I never thought that'd be a sentence I'd say in 2021. But the battle for the 3rd place on the grid is underway, and Hulkenberg and that Bugatti has just stuck to the track like it's a scare electric. That was outstanding. And Hulkenberg now has got Sebastian Vettel ahead of him. This is the battle for 2nd place. Then ahead of it has Nico Hulkenberg got the pace to race and catch Lewis Hamilton. There is Lewis Hamilton, and there is Nico Hulkenberg, and there is Sebastian Vettel. And look at this, as they go and break into the corner. And now Vettel, has he got enough to hang on? He's got the line. Has he been able to squeeze Hulkenberg out? Brilliant driving for Sebastian Vettel. Hulkenberg again looking to make his moment. Will he wait and use the Bugatti power down the straight? It might be the opportunity that open for. There is DRS, and Vettel doesn't have DRS, but does he have the guile on the switchback? Braking late was Hulkenberg, and he's done enough, and he's got a better line and a better drive, I suspect, Vettel. But the raw power of that Bugatti engine means on the start-finish straight, well, this is where it's all going to show. The DRS is showed, and all the way past comes Sebastian Vettel. Brake late into turn 1, goes deep into turn 1, Hulkenberg, and comes through. That was outstanding, Nico Hulkenberg, and now he's got to defend DRS, which has now happened at the moment, from Sebastian Vettel, who brakes late and goes in, clipping into the apex. Going wide again is Hulkenberg. Outstanding racing at the moment. And how heartbreaking must you be from Sebastian Vettel, who has driven his life out. But now, watch out, Lewis Hamilton. Hulkenberg is on a charge.
Well, those soft tyres are really working for him late in this race. You can see the grip difference he's got through the corners, and on the straights that engine's really showing. That gap is not going to last. He's got 5 laps as Lewis Hamilton to try and maintain that lead. And the other Ravenwest, look at this, of Mick Schumacher going round the outside. Schumacher round the outside. It's not something I've said for a long, long time, but look at that, Mick Schumacher making it look easy, and down the straight he's got all that power to use. He's got the slipstream of the Renault. Oh, and that's a Haas out. Safety car!
Hulkenberg! Hulkenberg is out! Hulkenberg has spun! Hulkenberg is he out at the moment? I've seen him spin. It's a Haas, it's a Haas. It's a Haas. Well, safety car is now brought out. I thought for half a second that was Hulkenberg. It was a Haas, was it? It was a Haas. It was a Haas. Well, the heart was in my mouth, and I think my brain was somewhere else to be found, but I thought there is a spinner, and out comes the safety car. So the question is, will this race finish on the safety car? The one thing that we know now is that Lewis Hamilton, who's done well to go ahead and get that lead, is about to have it eradicated. The rest of the field will bunch up behind him. And if you're Lewis Hamilton right now, what's your strategy?
Well, it's going to be difficult for him because he's on the mediums. Hulkenberg is in a prime position now on those soft tyres. He's going to have all the grip. Question is, though, behind the safety car, is Hulkenberg going to be able to maintain those temperatures that the soft tyres need to stay at peak performance? Because he's been driving the wheels off that car to keep those tyres performing. The mediums might be older, but at slower speeds for the next couple of laps, they'll maintain their temperature better. This is all strategy, and this is all how the driver looks after the car. And Lewis Hamilton, he's a 7-time world champion. He knows how to behave in this scenario. It's a fascinating scenario with the tyre situation, and obviously you've got arguably the greatest driver of all time, and Nico Hulkenberg, who is chasing his first ever win in a car which has got incredible straight line speed. It's going to be a fascinating dash to the finish, provided that the safety car does go in. We shall see it. Hopefully will. We've got 4 laps to go, so we shall see. But the battle for the midfield, if it wasn't already intense, it's just got a whole lot more intense.
Well, the safety car driver, well-renowned racer that you may have heard of, Ewan McIntyre. Lovely driver he is, and don't let it fool you here in that Mercedes. That is being driven completely, absolutely to the limit out there. Yet for the Formula 1 cars, they need it to be. It was something that was brought in many years ago with safety car. They need them to be running fast, but not to the point in which it damages the car. And yes, it's a fair point here that you'll definitely notice with the tyres, and I'm sure for Nico Hulkenberg, yes, he's got the gap and he's got the power, but will he have the grip? And it's certain here that if you're on the harder tyres, you're going to perhaps suit this better. On the mediums, that also puts you in a good position. The question is where the safety car releases and when we're ready to go racing again. So a reminder here of the top 10 at the moment in the Sakir Grand Prix is Lewis Hamilton ahead of Nico Hulkenberg, Sebastian Vettel, Lance Stroll, Romain Grosjean and Valtteri Bottas are in the top 6. Max Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, Mick Schumacher and Charles Leclerc round up the top 10. So they're all point scorers as things stand. At the moment, Lewis Hamilton has the fastest lap and the lead is on for 26 points, and he is sitting on the medium compounds. And Lance Stroll at the moment, well, he's at the back of this little group on the hard tyres. I'd like to know, would you think that the hard tyres potentially going to have a factor because they can able to maintain their temperature much better than the medium and the softs at this slow speed?
I think people that were on the hard tyres were gambling on there not being a safety car, because this was very much a case of them attempting a one-stop race. Hulkenberg's situation is very much the opposite end of the scale, where he may well have missed his window for performance now the safety car has come out. I think the mediums are probably the safest tyres at this point, purely because of the balance of both maximised grip and they're better with temperatures and tyre wear. And the lights are off on the safety cars, so we're going to have a race again for 3 laps.
Well, this Grand Prix is now turned into a 3-lap sprint and a finale ahead of us, fitting of Grand Prix motor racing here on the Virtual Sports Network. I promise you, you won't find better virtual motor racing than you will do on this channel. And that goes to you also, Mr. Broadbent. So, we're standing ready and we're waiting for the safety car, which will come in as they go through the final turn. And there is Hulkenberg just reminding Lewis Hamilton that when he does go, you're really going to have to push it, mate. Now they do push it, and Hulkenberg has got himself away. And the question is now, when will DRS open themselves up? Lewis Hamilton trying to go out wide and outbrake at the moment. The opportunity, and Hamilton's got through and done well to hold back that Bugatti power when the German Mercedes engine just holding him. And this is, well, outstanding at the moment. And now we are set for a 3-lap sprint finale. And there goes Romain Grosjean past Sebastian Vettel. So Grosjean's got himself up into 4th place in the Red Bull. Hamilton leads, Hulkenberg is 2nd. Mercedes ahead of Ravenwest, but just barely. And Lewis Hamilton going wide and using every trick in the book. Have we got slight shades of Senna versus Mansell at Monaco 92? Is this the sort of race that we're conduced at? It's much easier to overtake here than Monaco, which is basically impossible. And as Hulkenberg brave enough to try and go around the outside of Hamilton, and Hamilton is fighting back, and now he's going to head and just shuts the door down on Hulkenberg, and these two sprinting as they try to decide a winner of the Grand Prix. And I'll tell you what, I'm not necessarily sure that the tyres are too much of a bother at the moment in those soft compounds. They look to be up to temperature. It's a case of can Hulkenberg find his way to get past Lewis Hamilton, and there's probably millimetres in that, and I think Hulkenberg has got himself past Lewis Hamilton and down into the final straight. We're going to do lap 28, 2 laps to go, and Hamilton's come back brilliantly. Hamilton has come back right there on Nico Hulkenberg into turn 1. Outstanding racing at the moment by Lewis Hamilton. He stands ahead, and right behind him is Nico Hulkenberg. So Lewis Hamilton survived 1 lap. He's got this lap and the next to survive, and he can claim the checkered flag and the race. But Nico Hulkenberg, as a man that's never, well, he's never even got on a podium before, he could be chasing down his first win. The veteran of Formula 1 motor racing is giving perhaps the greatest driver of all time one of the races of his life. The brilliant Ravenwest side, led by Chris Whiteman here, the team principal. An outstanding performance they've done to get that Bugatti engine, an aerodynamic package to the point where this is certainly a top contender. And Lewis Hamilton is doing everything he can do in the Mercedes to hang on. Hulkenberg trying to have a little sniff, trying to break late. Lewis Hamilton's got a better line round the inside. He'll drift wide again and just do enough. And now Hulkenberg really has to battle, really has to try and hope this moment. Will he prey on a DRS zone to make his move? This will be the key opportunity that we're watching for. Watch for the opportunity. Has the Bugatti engine got enough to get past Lewis Hamilton? Battling again. Hulkenberg looks to go wide. Lewis Hamilton looks to just shut the door, and has shut the door. And now Lewis Hamilton, they're into a DRS zone, into the back straight. This is the main opportunity that we're waiting for, but there's no DRS. It's raw mechanical grip, and Lewis Hamilton does enough again. Final lap of the race. Lewis Hamilton and Nico Hulkenberg are in an absolute thriller, and Grosjean has got past Stroll. Is also battling Sebastian Vettel, and it's a few corners
DRS will activate this lap.
DRS is activated. Could that come into hand for Hulkenberg? Could this be his key to getting past Lewis Hamilton? There is Mick Schumacher battling with Valtteri Bottas. That is for 8th place that the two are doing battle over, with Charles Leclerc, who has raced alongside Schumacher all of this Grand Prix in an outstanding effort by both drivers. Both deserve the points at the moment to come through, and now we're waiting for the chance. This is it. Lewis Hamilton's got to try and stop Hulkenberg on DRS. Hulkenberg has made his move, and Hulkenberg is in the lead, but Will Lewis Hamilton be able to activate DRS as his race goes on to try and switch back on it? Did Lewis Hamilton give the position up, try and hope that he can go and find one more DRS zone? This is the final DRS zone. If Lewis Hamilton can make the move here, he may be able to hang on and win the Sakir Grand Prix. It's all or nothing for Hamilton, and Hamilton has done it. Has Hulkenberg done it? They're side by side again. Amazing racing from both drivers into another DRS zone. Start finish straight. The race, it could be a dead heat. It could be a dead heat. And just on the line, Lewis Hamilton. Oh, it was brilliant.
What a job, mate. What a race. Amazing. Crazy. Absolutely crazy race here, Lewis.
Still got it, one up.
Yeah, not bad for an old man.
How's your pulses, everyone? Because mine's through the roof.
Absolutely extraordinary performance by Lewis Hamilton. That was one of the closest races that we have seen ever, and he just timed it brilliantly. It almost as if he knew that in the penultimate DRS zone, Hulkenberg would make his move. Lewis almost just let him ever so slightly, and from this moment on, Lewis Hamilton found his way, and that was the distance the race was won by. And I think that's probably the closest race that we have seen since Zandorf in 1984. I don't think there's been a closer race in Formula 1 racing that we've seen ever since then. Well, Trev, what did you make of that as Lewis Hamilton comes onto the podium, the winner of the Sakir Grand Prix? He's got the trophy in hand, and Lewis Hamilton is the man, but just. Absolutely just.
Oh, that was a drive of a 7-time world champion, wasn't it? Cerebral, measured. It was just fantastic racing all round from everyone. Well done to Roman Grosjean as well, getting on the podium. Fantastic finish for him. It's funny you mentioned Zandvoort, because we're going there next.
Well, Lewis Hamilton, after his two-stop strategy, comes through second on the grid to win. Nico Hulkenberg started third. He went ahead, and it was won by 0.06 of a second. An outstanding race. Hulkenberg perhaps showing an air of naivety by going on the DRS zone. Perhaps if he'd waited and gone on the final DRS zone, he could have won the Grand Prix. Credit as has been spotted, Roman Grosjean. He's got himself a podium position in third place. Brilliant performance. Lance Stroll is in fourth for Racing Point. Vettel in the end comes fifth in Ferrari. Max Verstappen in the Red Bull is sixth. Ricciardo in an excellent performance for the Renault comes second. Bottas goes ahead and takes eighth after taking pole. Surely a very disappointed Valtteri Bottas. Mick Schumacher in the end comes through to finish ninth, but he's ahead of Charles Leclerc in the end. As for the rest of the grids, well, there were retirements for Matsushita, Carlos Sainz and Antonio Giovinazzi in the race. As for everybody else, well, George Russell in the McLaren sadly finishing in last place, but he gave it a damn good go. Lando Norris also in the Alfa Romeo, he finished 15. Both French drivers, Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly in 12th and 13th. And Daniel Kvyat has come the final driver out of the points in the AlphaTauri in 11th.
Yeah, George Russell taking the fastest lap off of Lewis Hamilton. How big could that be in the title race?
Well, it just shows you the talent that George Russell has, and that McLaren, and perhaps a slightly better race management. 3 pit stops, so I suspect there was damage taken to George Russell's McLaren. That's why he found himself where he was. But apparently, heir apparent to Hamilton's throne, George Russell may be hoping for better times ahead. In the World Championship standings, after coming in second place, Nico Hulkenberg will go ahead and take the lead on 34 points. Just 1 point behind him is Lewis Hamilton. Mick Schumacher, after his win in the first round, has gained 2 more points to come through into third place, and Roman Grosjean arrives on 4th place, ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Antonio Giovinazzi, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, and rounding up the top 10 is a very disappointed Valtteri Bottas. As for everyone else on the grid, where we run from Carlos Sainz to Guanyu Zhou, will be hoping that they can score their first points. But the big winner today was Lewis Hamilton, who held on by 0.06 of a second to beat Nico Hulkenberg and to win the Sakir Grand Prix in Bahrain. That, I'll tell you what, is one of the finest finishes to a Grand Prix I've ever seen. I might have to lie down after that. Well, in the constructors side of it, Ravenwest go ahead with a 20-point lead over Mercedes. Red Bull Racing march up the table into third. Renault and Racing Point slip down. Ferrari get ahead of McLaren, the two old rivals going for it. Ahead of AlphaTauri, which is the last point scorers. Haas, Alfa Romeo and Jaguar Williams are still yet to score points. But Ravenwest, after 2 races, what an outstanding performance for their side. Could they have their eyes on the constructors this year?
Well, they came close to pinching the Drivers' Championship and they snuck up on everyone in the constructors last year. This could be the year that they make the move for all of it at once.
Well, the Sakir Grand Prix in Bahrain last year was definitely brilliant and a real race to remember. This year, it's been outstandingly overtaken. A fantastic drive by Nico Hülkenberg, who drove the race of his life, but in the end, Lewis Hamilton went ahead and just showed that the old maestro had a little bit left in the tank. And 0.006 of a second is all that matters. But as you say in Formula 1, it doesn't matter how you do, or by how much, crossing the line first is all that matters. For everyone that's gone ahead and tuned in to watch the race, we thank you very much for joining us. Please subscribe, like this video and hit the notification buttons for this Formula 1 Championship season, where next round we're heading to Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. But for Trevor and myself, thank you very much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to bring you this Grand Prix, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.